Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday. We're getting ready to start day 2 of our math slides. So today we're going to be understanding how the fractions work on a number line. So like yesterday, we're going to continue our work with playing around with fractions on number lines. So to start off, we need to write the missing fraction label. So if we look, we have the unit fraction 1/3. And we learned in the video yesterday that when we have to fill in fractions on a number line, we keep the denominator and just keep adding to the numerator. So this one will be 1/3, and then this one and this one will keep the denominator of a 3, but then we need to add the 1. So 1 plus 1 we know is 2. So this one will be 2/3, and 2 plus another 1 is 3/3, and we know we're at 1 whole because the numerator and denominator are equal. So now, write the missing labels on the number line under the area model, then tell what fraction each part of the area model shows. So this question, then tell what fraction each part of the area model shows, is asking for our unit fraction. But first we need to label it, and then we're going to go in and label our unit fraction. So if we count these pieces, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total pieces. So that means our denominator is going to be 8. Our denominator is always going to be 8 for this problem. We're not going to change the denominator. The only thing that changes is our numerator. So for instance, this one is our first one. It's 1 out of the 8. So right here, you're going to put 1/8. And then I want you to pause me and continue to fill this in. Remember, you're just adding a 1 to the numerator, so 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. That's the only thing that's changing. Your denominator is going to stay 8. So again, we're starting with 1/8. Then you need to fill in this blank, this blank, this, and this. So pause me and fill that in because I'm going to move on as soon as I'm done talking. So make sure you pause to fill it in. So we have 1/8, and then we're going to add 1 to our numerator to make it 2/8. Add 1 again, 3/8. Add another 1 to our numerator, 4/8. Add another 1, 5. Add another 1, 6. Add another 1, 7. Add another 1, 8. And remember, our denominator stays 8. And when our numerator and denominator are the same, that is equal to 1 whole. And we know that because 8 divided by 8 is 1. That was a lot. I hope that made sense. It's really hard to teach through a camera. I want to keep touching the screen like you can see me, but you can't. So that's that. So it'll be 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. Now we know that there's 8 equal parts, so we know we're going to have 8 fractions. But now each part shows what unit fraction. Now we know our denominator is 8 because we have 8 equal parts, but they just want one part, one unit fraction. And we know that a unit fraction means there's a 1 in the numerator, so it's talking about one part, and the fraction we had for this first one was 1/8, so each part shows 1/8. And we can see it kind of better visually there. Again, I hope this is making sense. I'm trying my best here. I'm sorry. So now again, we're going to write the missing labels on this number line under the area model and then tell what unit fraction is it showing. So pause. I want you to try to figure this out on your own, and then I'm going to walk you through it after you figure it out. So pause me and figure it out, and then we're going to get started. So if we count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. So that means our denominator will be 6. So it's going to be denominator of 6, 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 denominator of 6. Holy tongue twister. Okay, so that means this one would be 1/6, and then our denominator stays the same, only our numerator changes. So this will be 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and 6/6, or 1 whole. And you can also count and check by making sure they line up. If you're counting normally like you would on a regular number line, 1 should be with 1/6, 2 should be with 2/6, and so on and so on. And then from there, each part shows what unit fraction should be 1/6, because the unit fraction always is a 1 in the numerator. The denominator is the total number of pieces, and it's talking about how much is 1 part. So in this case, it is 1/6. Now we need to identify. Sorry, I should have kept that longer so you can check your work. I apologize. Okay. So now we have to identify the fraction of a. So we need to figure out what fraction this is on the number line. We're going to do a couple examples of these. So if we look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. So that means our denominator will be 4. Now, if that's the case, what will be my numerator? Take a second to pause, figure it out. If we're trying to figure out the fraction for a, what would be my numerator at a? What would be my total number of things shaded if we were looking at an area model lined up above the number line like we did in the last problem? What would our fraction for a be? So we have, make your guesses, pause if you need. Sorry, I keep forgetting that. I just want to keep teaching. But remember to pause if you ever need to take time to try it out on your own, okay? So we have 1/6 here. Sorry, 1/6. Oh my gosh. 1/4 here. 2/4 here. 3/4 here. And then we have our whole of 4/4. So where did I say, what fraction did I say when we got to a? 3/4. So if we look, it's like we had an area model right here. This would be one box shaded in. This area would be another box shaded in, and then another box shaded in. So it would be 1, 2, 3 out of the 4 boxes shaded in. So it's 3/4. Now this one's tricky because, like I said yesterday, we're going to go over one whole here. So we know that from here to here is going to be 4/4, right? Then we know from 1 to 2 is going to be 8/4 because we just add to our numerator. So 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, 8/4, right? So now we have 8/4. Oh, wait. Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry, guys. Miss Dion is sleeping today. It's no longer 4, it changed it. I am so sorry. So, retract that. I take that back. I'm sorry. I was wrong. So, here we have to make sure it's still 4ths, Miss Dion. So, we have how many equal parts in between 0 and 1? 1, 2, 3. So now our denominator is not 4, it is 3. Sorry, I can't even believe I just did that. So from here to here is going to be 1/3. From here to here is going to be 2/3. And from here to here is going to be 3/3. Now, we know that if it is a whole number, it's going to be 3/3. So now we can just keep going and adding to our numerator because our denominator needs to stay the same because we're continuing to work with thirds. So we have 3/3. Then this area would be 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, and 7/3. So it looks like our A is going to be 7/3. But just to check, let's jump back to this 2. This fraction underneath the 2 would be 6/3. Now, what's 6 divided by 3? 2. So we know that that would be 2 as a whole number. And then, as always, we're just going to add to our numerator, not our denominator. So 6 plus 1 is 7. So A would be 7/3. I apologize. That was a mess on my part for that one. I am so sorry. Now, see? Teach you something new. Make sure to always check and make sure that your fraction is still the same fraction because Miss Dion almost just made the same mistake and that would have been wrong on a quiz. So make sure you're paying attention to the dashes and the equal parts. There you go. Little side lesson. So now, how is using a number line to show fractions like using an area model? So it's like using an area model because if you can see here, it's when we had the other problems, they were just above, they matched up. But it's different because you're not seeing any shading. So possible answer is they are alike because you divide models into equal parts still. They are different because an area model uses shapes divided into equal parts, and a number line uses a line divided into equal parts. Now again, you could have solved this using a diagram, a picture. You could have done it in sentence form like this. It's whatever makes sense for you in comparing how they are alike and different, okay? Again, that was really fast. I'm sorry. So now, exit ticket. We need to make a number line to show the fraction. So I want you to pause and try to make your number lines. Remember, you need equal parts. And you need to make sure for this one that in between your whole numbers you have 6 dash lines. And in between this one you have 4 dash lines. So take a minute to pause because when you come back, the answers are going to be up on the screen so we can talk about it. So make sure you take your time, make sure you have relatively equal parts, and you pay attention to the denominator, unlike Miss Dion did on that last one. Remember to pause if you need, because we're going to jump into the answer now. Okay, so possible student work for 4/6. Remember, it is in between fractions. Label the in between of whole numbers. So we have 0 and 1 on our ends, and then our denominator is 6. So we need to have 6 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't count the 0, but we do count the 1 because 1 is 6 over 6. So we have 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, what we're looking for, 5/6, and 6/6. And if it helps you, you can go in and label each of these and then just go and circle the one that they're asking you to show on the fraction, the number line. That makes sense. So you can go in and plug in all of them if that helps you, and then just go in and circle the one they're asking for. Now, for this one, it says 6 over 4. So that means we have to have 4 equal parts in between our whole number. So if we look, the 6 is bigger than the 4. So we know, because we are smart third graders, that this number, this fraction is going to be over 1 on the number line, okay? So we have 4 equal parts in between 0 and 1, but we know that because the 6 is bigger than 4, we need to go past the 1. So now we're going to focus on 1 to 2. So we know that 1 is 4 over 4. And we know that the denominator stays the same, only the numerator changes. So we're going to have 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, and 8/4. And like I said, you can check 8 divided by 4 is 2, so you know you're at 2 wholes. So then from there, we go back to the 6/4, and you can either circle it if you went in and labeled it. If you need to, you can also go in and do like the +1, like I've been doing with my mouse. You can go in and write that into your physical number line if that is helpful for you, okay? Now, I know that this gets tricky because obviously this would be way easier if we were learning together in the classroom, but you need to bear with me. Just keep trying your best. Pay attention to how many pieces are in each problem and just do your best work, okay? I know it's getting tricky. I know it can get frustrating. Fractions are really frustrating. When I was in third grade, I really had a hard time with fractions, so I understand where you're coming from. And if you need anything at all, I am more than happy to video chat. I can do whatever I can to help because I want to make this as least stressful as possible and I want to make it as easy to understand as possible. So please, please, please just try your best. Take your time. Make sure you're using everything that we've been learning so far. And it's time for you to go try your independent practice. So if you need me, I'm here. Bye.